Hey, what's up? I'm Seth, and today I'm asking the question, should I share with my kids the new Disney and Pixar movie, Luca? Now, I didn't remember hearing a lot about this movie, but I will always support Pixar. I mean, they defined my childhood. I've loved Pixar movies throughout my entire life. There's been some great ones, mostly great ones, a couple of misses, and this one kind of sits closer to the misses, unfortunately. There were some things that I didn't love about this movie. It did spur some good conversation. I came up with some questions that I would ask my kids after watching this movie, but more on that in just a minute. First, a quick synopsis. So this movie is about some sea monsters. Well, they're people that look like sea monsters. You know, imagine the creature from the Black Lagoon. It's kind of what they look like. Anyways, so they live off the coast of Italy, but they're afraid of what they call land monsters, which are people, and the people are afraid of the sea monsters, and it's kind of this battle between them. But there's one boy who wants to go to the surface, learn more about people. He finds out when he becomes dry, he actually looks like a person, and it's his coming of age story, learning about life as a person, learning about friendship. That's kind of the big thing about this movie is it's this coming of age story for this sea monster slash person. And so I'm always looking at a new movie thinking, would I share this movie with my kids? My kids are 12, 10, 7, and 5, and I want to know what I could watch with them. So I was watching this movie and trying to decide what I liked best for my kids. What I liked for my kids about this movie first is that this is a completely family-friendly movie. I mean, there's nothing that stood out to me in any way that I thought, shouldn't be something my kids should watch. Nothing that would make me feel awkward. Nothing like that at all. I'd even actually place this movie more on the preschool side of the Pixar movies. I don't really get adult, but they have some more adult themes. This one stayed pretty light. The second thing I really liked about this movie was kind of an interesting thing that stood out, and this might be, maybe light spoiler, I don't know. But there was diversity of abilities. There was one of the side characters didn't have an arm. And it was really cool to see how that was addressed in this movie. I mean, he still had some great abilities. He said he was just born that way. And it wasn't like a main plot point or anything. He just didn't have an arm, and it just wasn't really a thing. And you don't see that a lot. You don't see a lot of that type of ability represented in movies, and I thought that was pretty cool. So what else did I like about this movie? I loved the Italian culture that was represented in this movie. I have never been to Italy. It looks like an amazing place to go, and I really liked what I felt about their culture. It felt like a fun culture for my kids to experience, so that was cool. And I love the overall theme of this movie. The overall theme was about friendship. Was about sticking with your friends, embracing your diversity with friends, and just doing your best to be loyal and true, overcoming your differences when you upset each other, doing your best to reconcile. And that was great. I loved that theme of this movie. What I didn't like about this movie for my kids, like I said, it's super family friendly. There was nothing that really stuck out to me that was awkward. I just didn't feel like this was one of Disney and Pixar's greats. I didn't feel like there was a strong emotional connection with this movie. The problem might be that I just felt such a strong emotional connection with a lot of the other Pixar movies. I mean, let's not talk about Cars 2. Did not like that movie at all. But a lot of the other ones were really impactful to me, but I felt like this one was just okay. Another thing I didn't like about this movie, Luca's actual parents, I didn't think were represented very well. They were not emotionally attentive parents at all. Not really clued into Luca, and I didn't like that representation. I feel like the reason that they were emotionally inattentive was just to push the story in a direction, and I feel like they could have done a better job with that. And finally, I guess I just didn't really love the overall story and characters. I didn't feel like a strong why for these characters. I felt like they just weren't strong characters overall, and so I didn't love that. So overall, my personal review is, would I show this movie to my kids? Yeah, I would, because it is family friendly, and it's still, I feel like a fun movie. I did actually show it to my kids already, and they enjoyed it. I asked them what they thought of it and what they remembered about it, and there wasn't a ton there. It's not really a super impactful movie. It was fun to watch with them, but this is probably just one I'd watch once, just to kind of see how it is and see what it's like. But I'm glad it wasn't premium, because I don't know if I would pay for this movie. If I would compare this to another Pixar movie, I felt like it kind of sat similar to me as The Good Dinosaur, which, again, wasn't a super compelling movie to me. It was just, a good watch, I guess. Some other things I didn't love about this movie, besides the weak characters and the lack of emotional connection, was I thought the animation was not quite Pixar quality. And when I talk about that, I'm not talking about like the sets there. The background, the water was all done super well. The colors was beautiful. The town there was awesome. The characters themselves, though, were not what I would expect from Pixar. The characters really reminded me of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Even the dad had like this eyebrow thing going on where he like covered his eyeballs with his eyebrows, which is exactly what happens in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. And again, maybe that was the look they were going for. but for me it was just slightly off-putting. So that's my review of Luca. It made for a good movie night, but if I was still building a Blu-ray collection, it's not one that I would buy for that. But there are some questions I would ask my kids. First, I would ask, how could those parents have been more emotionally attentive? I mean, they could have avoided a lot of heartache with Luca if they would have just been more tuned in and been just good parents that were not really tuned into their child at all. They were pretty self-absorbed and just not making decisions that I felt like were motivated in reality. I don't know. I would also ask, what were some good and bad examples of friendship that you saw in this movie? Just because, like I said, this is a movie about friendship, and they did a good job talking about friendship, and there's some hard things there's some good things they did, there were some bad things they did. The bad things weren't necessarily bad, it was just them learning how to be friends, and so I would point that out to my kids. And finally, I would ask my kids, what was something that stood out to them about the Italian culture? Something that they liked. Like I said, that's not a culture me or my kids have a lot of experience with, so it's nice to see what sticks out to them from that culture, and something that they'd want to explore more. All right, that's my review of Luca. If you liked this, you can hit the subscribe button below or the like button as well. If you had some different ideas or thoughts about Luca, put it in the comments. I'd love to hear that. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.